おーい、生きとるか。
Hey guys, Moshi here. Potato wanted me to warn you that this particular visual novel will contain a lot of fucked up shit. As in gross imagery like blood, gore, and stuff of the like. So if you're easily squeamish, back out now. You've been warned. And for those of you that are still sticking around, well, you're certainly braver than me.
I suggest you take that disclaimer to heart because I will not be responsible for any nightmares that you may have during this playthrough. Anyway, greetings everyone. This is Potato Hedgehog and welcome to Saya no Yuta. English translation, The Song of Saya. I have heard that this game is all kinds of fucked up. So I hope you're not easily grossed out, because this is going to be a gross playthrough. Good thing I'm not doing this for the money, otherwise you two would have had me shut the fuck down. Anyway, without any further delay, let's begin. Oh look, another disclaimer. Isn't that fun? And I think I did a test playthrough of this yesterday, so I had the gross shit not censored. So, yeah. That's a lovely first image now, isn't it? I cannot understand your gibberish. I apologize. 3 such creatures sit around the table in front of me, slurping filthy sludge from their cups as they trade whines, growls, and sounds that I cannot describe. Ew. Well, that's spoopy. By listening carefully, I am able to grasp the gist of their conversation and respond when it is required of me. This is necessary to avoid arousing their suspicion. However these creatures may look, they are my friends apparently. I wish that I could still deny it, but I gave up on that a long time ago. Night after night, I went to sleep praying for an end to this nightmare, only to wake up each morning to the same twisted hellscape as the day before. I know now that I have to blend in, that I have to act like one of them. Such has been my life these past 3 months, and so it will remain until the day I die. I'm sorry, but I cannot understand your gibberish. Judging by its tone, this one must be Koji, and the one next to him, squealing more than the others, is probably Omi, which means that the one next to me is Yo, though I can no longer see any trace of her once attractive features. I try my best to ignore the rotten stench of excrement that issues from her quivering flesh. Everything has changed. Or almost everything. By some cruel trick of fate, my relationship to the world alone remains the same, as if an insane architect took the blueprints of my life and rebuilt it out of blood and gore. These monsters and I were part of the same college club. We studied together, ate together. We even went skiing together every winter break. Now, these are but painful memories of days that I'll never return. If only no one recognized me, I might have been able to disconnect myself from the world. It would have been comforting in comparison to believe that I had been abducted by aliens, or that I had stumbled through a gateway to hell. But no. This is beyond a doubt the city where I was born and raised, the society that I was a part of for 20 years. Save that I, and I alone, can no longer see it that way. The world as I knew it is gone, I have no place to call home. More gibberish, yay! Anyway, I can tell that whatever they're talking about is of no importance to me. I decide to keep quiet while pretending to listen. But just then... Ugh. One of the flesh beasts says as it swivels its bloodshot eyes toward me. About what? I try to desperately suppress my urge. I desperately try to suppress my loathing and breathe normally, but my hoarse voice ruins the attempt. A slimy hole near the top of the creature writhes nauseatingly as it vomits some semblance of words. That must be Koji's face, or what I would have seen as such 3 months ago. Unable to stomach the sight of it, I avert my eyes and give a neutral answer. I don't know. Not really. These are my closest companions. One of them had even wished to be more. How many nights have I spent crying in loneliness, lamenting the friends who no longer exist? In 3 months, my tears ran dry, and now there is only loathing left in me, surrounded by hideous creatures that I can only assume are Koji, Omi, and Yo. I spend each day trying to act as I always have. If I fail at this, I'll surely be sent back to the hospital. Only this time, I'll be locked away forever. No matter what, I won't let that happen. I'm not sure. I'll ask the doctor during my checkup. That's it. I can't look at them or bear their screeching any longer. I jump to my feet, desperate to escape. A spray of stringy slime from the cilia around its voice box flies at me. I try to cover myself, but too late to keep the slime from splattering across my face like the yolk of a rotten egg. I'm about to lose it. I want to grab a chair, a desk, anything within reach, and use it to smash the life out of this creature, ending it all. I barely suppress the impulse. I mustn't let on that something is wrong. However they look to me, this is their world. I'm the outsider here. Like I said, today's my checkup. I've got to go. Struggling to put on a smile, I reach into my wallet, pull out the first bill I find, and put it on the table without even looking at it. I don't care about the change. I just need to get out of here. Now. Later. I mutter hastily and flee the cafeteria. I'm not crazy. Yeah, keep telling yourself that, Fuminori.
Hey,
Says Takahata Omi.
why don't we go somewhere where we can skate for this year's ski trip?
Tsubaka Yo frowns at the suggestion.
Skate? But why go to a ski resort to skate?
Give her a break, Tsukuba. It's all she talks about these days. Tono Koji supports Omi with a laugh. Her impromptu suggestions are nothing new, and it's Koji's role as her boyfriend to provide backup. They're a good match for each other, Yo thinks. Sometimes it makes her jealous. I mean, she'd never seriously gone skating before I took her the other day.
Hey, is it really that strange?
Not many people start skating in their 20s, you know.
I was scared when I was little. Those shoes look like big knives. But you picked it up just like that? That's pretty amazing, Omi.
It's a lot like skiing. You keep your weight forward and use the angle off the shoes to steer.
He made it sound so easy, so I figured I should give it a try. And it was fun.
So it was a date. Yo feels a stab of envy. Koji and Omi enjoy their time together, as normal lovers do. That's certainly not something that should arouse jealousy. It's just that her luck in love has been bad.
Oh, well, I want to see Omi skate too.
Yo keeps her voice upbeat, trying to cover up her internal conflict. She knows that it's wrong to envy her friends. She too would be spending time with the man she admires, if not for the terrible tragedy that befell him. His is true misfortune. Her bad luck doesn't begin to compare.
So, how about it? If we make the next ski trip a skating trip too, it'll be twice as fun. But you can skate at a skating rink, can't you? Why go all the way to a ski resort? I don't want to skate indoors. I want to skate outside or in a lake or something. That sounds fun, but won't it be crowded?
While speaking, Yo sneaks a sideways glance at the young man sitting next to her. Although the conversation has only involved 3 people so far, there are in fact 2 couples at the cafeteria table. Yo's boyfriend, although there's still some doubt whether he could be called that, is beside her, as silent and expressionless as a statue. Hey, Fuminori! What do you think? Perhaps Koji sensed Yo's plan in his usual quiet and considerate way. About what? The cause of Yo's distress, Sakisaka Fuminori, responds to Koji's sudden query with a vague, mumbled question of his own. We're talking about this winter's ski trip. You're coming too, right? Oh, this is the conversation that just happened, except in the fucked up world. Gotcha. Koji speaks gingerly, as though probing a tumor. A few months ago, he would not have hesitated to rebuke Fuminori for his attitude. Their long acquaintance had forged a strong and honest friendship. But now... I don't know. Fuminori responds bluntly, his downcast eyes and sullen demeanor making it clear that he has no desire to break his silence. You have plans? Not really. Even Koji, Fuminori's best friend, cannot communicate with him as before. What hope does Yo have of breaking through his shell? The scars left by the events of that late summer day are still deep all these months later. Each one of the 4 bears them, not only Fuminori. I mean, it's not like physical activity could affect your injuries, right? I'm not sure. I'll ask the doctor during my checkup. As though that answer drained the last of his patience, Fuminori bolts out of his chair. Fuminori! Even Koji can't keep his voice from rising as he tries to stop Fuminori from leaving. Fuminori acts swiftly, throwing his hand over his face as though to shield himself from something terrifying. Maybe some spit flew inadvertently from Koji's mouth, but that sort of thing happens during everyday conversation. Fuminori's reaction is beyond the pale. Like I said, Fuminori snaps, making no attempt to relieve the discomfort of his friends. Today's my checkup. I have to go. Even as he tosses money on the table to pay for his coffee, he acts like he's touching something filthy. Later. Fuminori stalks out of the cafeteria almost as if he's running away. Cloaked in heavy silence, the remaining 3 lower their gaze to the table where the abandoned 10,000 yen Jesus! bill slays forlornly. Fuminori's coffee is untouched.
I can't take this anymore,
Omi says with a sigh, but Koji shakes his head reproachfully. Fuminori just needs a little more time.
But it's been 3 months. What's with his attitude? I feel like I'm going crazy hanging around him.
Hey, I don't understand what he's going through either. I don't think any of us can. Can you imagine losing your whole family like that? That'd screw anyone up. It could have happened to anyone. A tractor trailer flipped over on the highway, crushing the Sakisaka family car into twisted scrap. They said it had been difficult to tell the body of Fuminori's parents apart. For a while, it looked as if there were no hope for Fuminori either. It was nothing short of a miracle that he was able to leave the hospital and return to a normal life. He was worse when we went to see him in the hospital, remember? He was terrified of us, like he didn't know who we were. He even had to be tied to the bed, he freaked out so bad. I'm just glad he's made it this far.
There's still something strange about him. What's with the way he looks at us? It's like we're not even human.
Cut it out, Omi, Koji says forcefully, probably less out of empathy for his friend than out of consideration for Yo. While Koji's kindness makes her happy, Yo also knows that she mustn't take advantage of it. Fuminori is the victim, just as Koji said. He's the one who's lost. He's the one who most deserves sympathy. Yo's feelings for Fuminori are her problem and no one else's. She doesn't blame Fuminori for not giving her an answer after she worked up the courage to ask him out. In fact, she thinks even more fondly of him for his serious consideration of her feelings than she would have had he treated their relationship casually. Apparently, the fact that Fuminori did not reject her was enough to make them a couple in Koji and Omi's eyes. They've had plenty of fun at Yo and Fuminori's expense since. The truth of it, though, is that he still hasn't given her an answer. After revealing her feelings to him, Yo didn't see Fuminori again until a week later, and then she could only stare at his broken body through the window of an ICU. And when he was finally released after 50 days that seemed an eternity, he was somehow different. She's starting to doubt that he even remembers what she confessed to him before the accident. Now winter is coming, and her feelings hang forgotten in the cold, lonely air. Makes sense that I'm playing this because Valentine's Day is right around the corner. Fuck Valentine's Day. Dr. Tanbo Ryoko has never had a more troublesome patient. That's a hot doctor.
Has there been any change since your last visit, Mr. Sakisaka?
No, nothing to speak of. His voice is hard and flat, his words tossed carelessly into the air. It's like he's speaking to himself in an empty room. Ryoko is a surgeon, not a psychiatrist, but even she can sense the thickness of the wall he has erected between himself and the world.
Any nausea, dizziness, or hallucinations?
No. While Sekisa appears to be looking at Ryoko, his gaze is actually aimed a fraction down into the side. He's only superficially engaged in the conversation, when in truth it does not interest him in the slightest. Perfect rejection. Realizing that she can't interview him like this, Ryoko sighs and sets her chart aside.
Mr. Sekisaka, the procedure you received at this hospital was the latest in experimental neurosurgery. We explained this before, didn't we?
Treatment of subdural hematoma through the use of micromachines, a procedure available in Japan exclusively here at the T University Medical Center, had been the only way to save Sakisaka Fuminori from a cerebral contusion that should have been fatal.
With any experimental treatment, there is always the risk of unexpected complications.
Of course. Sakisaka Fuminori's lips twist slightly in what might be a bitter or mocking smile, but it is gone before Ryoko can discern its meaning.
Normally, I would never say anything to frighten a patient. But there have been reports of serious neurological disorders post-surgery. We must continue to monitor your condition carefully.
Hence these weekly checkups. If only he would take them a little more seriously. How was last week's MRI? Sakisaka asked abruptly as if to catch Ryoko off guard. MRI, magnetic resonance imaging, is a way for doctors to examine the brain in detail without opening the patient's skull. Surprised by Sakisaka's uncommon technical knowledge, Ryoko recalls his profile.
Oh, that's right. You're a medical student, aren't you?
The kind of anomaly you're worried about should show up on the MRI, right? Did you find anything?
No.
There was nothing. Not the slightest hint of abnormal activity. Then how can you explain this motherfucker seeing blood and gore wherever he goes? For a procedure with such a low rate of success, the result had been nothing short of miraculous. However, something still bothers Ryoko. She can't shake the feeling that he's hiding something beneath his guarded exterior. Some terrible weight on his soul, perhaps. But if it's an inorganic problem, and there's nothing that she can do as long as he refuses to explain it. I'm fine, Doctor. I've lived on my own for 3 months without any problems. What could go wrong now?
Please, you know that continued observation is required after these difficult surgeries. You have to trust us a little more.
I suppose you're right. I do want to trust you, Doctor. Can I come to you with anything?
Yes, of course.
Ryoko answered, smiling to cover up her irritation. Sakisaka asked the exact same question during last week's visit. Well then, let's pick up where we left off. Have you learned anything about Dr. Ogai? Unable to answer, Ryoko hardens the mask of her smile. As before, the patient is inquiring about someone whom he has no business knowing.
If you don't mind my asking, what does Dr. Ogai have to do with your treatment?
You just told me to trust you, and now you're keeping secrets? Ryoko is used to treating with patients treating her with hostility. After all, some degree of paranoia is natural when dealing with someone who holds your life in her hands. In Sakisaka, however, she doesn't see the short-sighted impatience that other patients exhibit. His demeanor is perfectly calm, almost like a detective questioning a suspect.
He left this hospital some time ago. I never had any contact with him myself.
Do you know why he left?
Yes, I believe it was personal.
Ryoko answers smoothly, her earlier hesitation gone. Having decided at the outset to lie, she has no trouble doing so with a straight face. But why do you... Bleh.
But why do you keep asking about Dr. Ogai? Do you know him?
Did you know the doctor has gone missing?
No.
Ryoko realizes that her answer had been a little too quick. She should have acted more surprised. I've recently been close with a relative of his. It was she who asked me to go find him. A relative? Ryoko considers this with a frown.
I didn't think Dr. Ogai had any relatives.
Oh, who told you that?
I heard it from a nurse.
Ryoko replies, remembering that she just claimed to have no contact with the man. I see. So the doctor was famous enough for nurses to gossip about him?
He was an unusual man, I hear.
But no one knows why he left university? Ryoko falls silent, knowing that this isn't a topic that she can brush away with a smile. Sakisaka seems to have finally grasped her mood, however, as his strangely shift tone softens a little. Doctor, I absolutely must find Dr. Ogai. There's a girl who's lost without him. Can't you help me?
Isn't this something the police should handle?
Although she makes it sound like the most obvious thing in the world, the suggestion is actually a risky gamble. If Ogai Masahiko's disappearance becomes a police matter, then the university will be investigated. Everyone who was involved in the incident will be at risk of exposure. And of course, that includes Rokio herself. She knows, however, that Sakisaka is unlikely to go to the police. First of all, his excuse is obviously a lie. They already made sure that Ogai had no relatives that might come looking for him, which is why they could bury the truth of what happened. But then, how did Sakisaka, a mere patient, learn about Ogai?
I'd be happy to help, but there's been no word from Dr. Ogai since he resigned last April. I can only assume that he's gone on an extended vacation.
I see. Expecting resistance, Ryoko is surprised when Sakisaka backs down. She's still worried about his condition, and the mysterious link between him and Ogai Masahiko is only making her more uneasy. But as long as he doesn't open up to her, there's nothing that she can do. After a brief pause, Ryoko writes progress good on Sakisaka's chart for today.
About next week's appointment, how does 4 o'clock again set?
Before she can finish, Sakisaka is gone. Well, that was... more blood and gore. How lovely. It looks like someone sprayed the walls with pig guts from ceiling to floor. What colors of the walls of the hospital be? White, of course. And the creatures of rotten flesh shambling around me. I'm sure this hallway looks as white as it should. I know intellectually that the walls are white. I know that the flesh beasts are really human. I'm the one with the problem, and it's because I've accepted this that I'm able to lead something approaching a normal life. Even if my university's medical department is nowhere as good as teen universities, I'm still a medical student specializing in neurology. I have a basic idea of what's happened to me, though it's hard to believe. This isn't a pathological condition. It's probably for some form of agnosia unlike anything that's ever been studied before. The flesh beast called Tanbo Ryoko said that other patients that developed neurological disorders had just seen the same treatment as I did. So I guess I'm just another failure. It makes me want to laugh in that know-it-all doctor's face. That said, I don't blame the doctors who operated on me. After all, I owe them my life. I know as well as anyone how low the chance of success was, and that I had no other hope of survival. I was unlucky. That's all there is to it. The point is that my condition isn't treatable. Just like someone adapting to a hearing aid or a wheelchair, I have no choice but to adapt to this nauseating scenery. Of course it's hard. It wasn't easy to resign myself to this fate. But now, there's more than just despair. Even for me, there is a glimmer of hope. Keeping my eyes on my feet so as to see a little of this horrifying world as possible, I hurry home. Ugh. Spoopy. I live in a quiet suburban neighborhood in a house that's much too large for me alone. My parents, even unluckier than I was, died in the accident 3 months ago. I couldn't even go to the funeral for being in intensive care. I had to sell my father's business, but at least that left me with the house and enough money to live on for a while. Of course I'm sad, but the accident took more from me than my parents. In fact, being on my own has probably saved me. If they were still alive, my parents would never have allowed me to live with some strange girl after all. Gross.
Welcome home!
As I open the door, a bright voice greets me from the kitchen. The voice is beautiful and clear as a bell. Human. Its sweet sound washes the day's cacophony from my memory. I'm home, Saya. Even the patter of feet coming down the hallway is music to my ears. Nowhere else in this city can I hear such footsteps. Only in this house with Saya am I so privileged. And there she is!
You're late. I was a little worried.
Sorry. I had to stop by the hospital today.
Oh, was that today?
In her smile, in the acquisitive tilt of her head, is everything that I have lost. Since my accident, this girl is the only person I've met, perhaps the only person in the entire world, who does not share my cognitive disorder. True, her skin seems too white, and the color of her eyes and her hair is probably different in reality. But even so, her form is undeniably human. And it's not just her appearance or her voice, but also her... As I bend down to take off my shoes, Saya wraps her arms around my neck and pulls me gently into her tiny bosom. Her skin feels truly human, not cold or slimy, and from her hair wafts the sweet fragrance of a young girl. In all the world, only Saya is pleasing to my 5 senses. And what's more, she smiles at me, embraces me. She knows that she is my salvation, and for some reason is happy that I need her. If I had not met Saya, if I had been all alone in this twisted, filth-ridden world, I would no doubt have succumbed to madness. It is no exaggeration to say that Saya alone is keeping me alive.
What did you do today?
Oh, what did you do today?
Worked in the living room. The painting's half done, and now I'm making your dinner like I learned from the TV.
Sounds good.
It'll take a little longer. Can you wait?
Sure. I'll do some more work in the living room. After I see the humming Saya off to the kitchen, I step into the living room. Everything is still awful. Anyway, I think this is a good place to stop the episode since Saya was introduced. Now I need to figure out how to save the game so I don't have to start this all over again. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this episode of Saya no Yuta, please leave a like and a comment to let me know, and I will see you guys in the next part. Adios. I gotta remember to put a disclaimer at the beginning of this video that this game has shocking imagery. Heh